Well, the saga of Aaron Rodgers continues. The Athletic reporting that Rodgers wants GM Brian Gutekunst to be fired. Also adding that Rodgers has mocked the GM in group texts, with his teammates referring to him as Jerry Krause. Now, Krause, of course, was the general manager of the Chicago Bulls during their run of 6 NBA championships, but he was loathed by Michael Jordan for some personnel moves which Jordan disagreed with. So what does the future hold for Rodgers? That is the question. Well, it's happened before where a player has won MVP and didn't return to the team in the next season, but it's not common. It's actually only happened twice. You see the list right here. Norm Van Brocklin, that was after he won MVP in 1960, and Jim Brown, he retired after winning MVP in 1965. So, of course, everyone wants to know where Aaron Rodgers will play next season. Well, Brett Favre says he doesn't think it'll be in Green Bay. The Packers Hall of Famer told a Wisconsin radio for ESPN, quote, "If there's not a trade, my gut tells me that he'd rather sit out than play." Rodgers has been feuding with the Packers throughout this offseason, leading to talks that he might have already taken his last snap with the team. Diving a little bit deeper into what Favre said, he said, "I just don't see him coming back and saying, all right, let's bury the hatchet. His rift isn't with the fans nor the players, it's with the front office. So, will he just swallow his pride and come in? Maybe, but I just don't see that happening." Let's welcome in our 3-time Super Bowl champion executive Scott Pioli. Reports now are saying that Rodgers is mocking his GM. Now, as a former GM, Scott, what is your reaction to this?
Well, to me, Jenny, quite honestly, that's disappointing. And that's the word that I keep coming back to, is disappointing, because I understand situations and circumstances where sides don't agree. I also understand when they escalate and sides really don't like one another. And there needs to be a strategy involved. However, when the public mocking starts and name calling, and you know that it's coming from one camp or the other, to me, it's just really disappointing because it's so unnecessary. I mean, you know, when you look at people that are involved, either side, both sides have family, children, and when this starts to happen, it really starts to affect many people beyond the principles involved. So again, I've been in circumstances, been in situations, and to me, this is just, it's becoming difficult to listen to and watch, quite honestly, Jenny.
I think that sometimes fans forget the fact that these players, these GMs, they have families, they have kids. It's not just them dealing with this situation. So what would you do in this situation? We have current players, former players, saying that Rodgers isn't going to come back and play. The attention is clearly out there. It's in the news. So how would you handle it?
Jenny, I think that what you have to do in this situation, if you're the GM, is stay the course. Again, even though there's name calling, even though there's mocking, even though there's attempts to character assassinate publicly, you have to stay the course, because as a general manager, as a head coach, as a leader of any franchise or being part of the leadership group, you always have to put the team and the franchise first. Those things are more important than you individually. And again, there's been times where I've been beat up publicly. I remember it happening. And even though I felt and knew things were wrong or inaccurate, you can't make it personal. Allow yourself to get pulled in, because then you might make decisions that aren't good for the greater good, that aren't good for the franchise, aren't good for the other 52 players that you have on the roster, the coaching staff, and the families of all of those people involved, Jenny. Again, it's so much bigger than you. You need to stay the course, do what you can do, and then at some point in time, you have to make a final decision, whatever that is, whether you keep the player or trade the player or move on from the player in whatever fashion you decide is best. But whatever you do, you have to do what is best for the franchise and the sake of winning and the fan base and the owner.
So if Rodgers does move on, obviously most teams would just love to have him. Where do you think he fits?
Gosh, there's so many places. There's a couple, there's so many places that need a quarterback right now. But the problem is the demand of what the cost would be. There's several places I think he could fit. Again, whether it's short term or long term. I mean, the Saints might be an attractive place, but again, do the Green Bay Packers really want to send a player to a team within the conference and have to deal with him and have to battle him? Washington might be a really good place again, but that's in the NFC. There's a number of teams that could use him for the short term because he is still a very good player. But one thing I'll add to this, though, Jenny, is what is going on here? You know, my father used to have an old saying, and I'll change one of the words, but when you get into a public mudslinging contest, everyone's going to get a little bit of mud on them. And right now, this is not boding well for Aaron Rodgers, because even though he may be slinging mud, or his representatives or his people are slinging mud, he's starting to get a little bit on him right now. So some of those teams that want him for the player that he is, you know, they're going to have to weigh also is, you know, what is his personality? Is this his true personality? And could this happen to us if things don't work out?
All right, well, there's certainly mud being thrown around. Scott, thank you so much. We'll be following the Aaron Rodgers saga as it continues to unfold, that is for sure. The conversation continues on the Pick Six podcast. CBS Sports senior writer Will Brinson and all of his friends will get you up to speed each day in about 30 minutes with what is trending in the NFL world. And clearly, it's about Aaron Rodgers. You got to download and follow along today.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.